Hi, I'm Cody, and I'm here with Jenna today, and we have a special message that we want to share with you as our company, our organization, the Tranel Financial Group, has recently had on You're Never Gonna Guess It, and I'm sure you probably don't want to hear it, but that's the COVID 2.0, the variant that is across the headlines and everything that's going on out there has forced us to have some difficult conversations here at the Tranel Financial Group.
Again,
right? Because in March of last year, the government came out and we had to shut down
Shelter in place,
Shelter in place.
Time.
Man, I'm glad you're using the proper terminology. Thanks. Right? We had to shelter in place. And as people have gotten vaccinated, right, those restrictions have eased up. The world has slowly opened back up. And here we're finding ourselves in a very familiar place of uncertainty again with what's going to be happening with this variant. And we wanted to share with you some of the dialogue that we've been having as an organization and how we've come about and what we're doing moving forward. Because I'm sure some of you are experiencing this at your organization or are dealing with this in your business of what do I do and how do I handle this? And the number one thing that we are focusing our conversations around is we don't want to segregate, and I shouldn't say that, divide our team. We won't want to divide our team of people that may be unvaccinated versus those that are vaccinated.
Right, there's enough of that happening already.
Yeah, I mean, look around our world, right? The political world and just this whole COVID thing of how split, right? People are on one extreme to the other extreme. And it's really challenging. And Jen and I have somewhat of different views on this. But at the same time, we have to come together and work together, even though we may not agree 100% on how we're going to move forward, but we can't stay here. We have to do something. And I would say what we came up with is probably more on the safe side than on the lenient side. And I would say you probably lean more on the safe side.
I do.
And I probably lean a little bit on the opposite
more
side
lenient.
Of being more open with it. But the reality is the safety of our team is really important,
and
the
the
safety
camaraderie
of our clients
coming together with our team is really important.
And this conversation that we've had and the protocols that we put in place didn't make everybody happy.
No,
right?
it did not.
We've heard about that from our team, and our culture is one that's open, and transparent, where we want them to be able to come to us and voice those concerns. But that also led us to wanting to come here to have this conversation here today. So, Jenna, I'm going to ask you, putting you on the spot a little bit here,
That's okay,
to just share with the listeners of your perspective, kind of your thoughts on all of this, and what led you to say, hey, we really need to do something about this now. So,
I have been really trying to stay in the loop of everything from an HR standpoint, right? What's needed to make sure our team is safe, not only from a liability standpoint, but just from a health standpoint.
Which I do appreciate.
Thank you. You are so welcome. And just keeping up a lot of the normalcy that's been reenacted with our team and within the community that we're in, which is very exciting. I do want that normalcy back, but I obviously want everyone to be safe. And so the biggest stance that I take is just the safety, right, to reduce the spread, which is really important to me. And to the community, right? Reducing the spread of COVID, whatever variant that might be, and then also ensuring that our team still has a strong camaraderie together. And right now, when you talk about COVID, there's no strong camaraderie of differing of opinions. And that's where we've hashed it out to just have those open conversations, right? I do lean a little bit more strict. Cody does lean a little bit more lenient, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's also points of view that I hadn't understood or seen before. And I hope the same goes for you as well in that manner. But really, we've come to this conclusion of the policies we've put in place to reduce the spread, but also keep camaraderie with our team. And those are the two main points that I really want to make sure our team sees and understands, is that we care about your health, we want you to be here, and we also want to have a team that's aligned together.
Yeah, so why don't you share with the listeners what those protocols we did put in place. And we put these protocols in place because what we foresee is going to be happening. Now, we could be absolutely wrong. We could absolutely be wrong, but we're okay with that too.
Right.
And we have chosen to go more strict from the start, because the last thing we want to do is do the push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, because it feels like we have been in that since last March, really, of this uncertainty, which is just very disruptive for organizations
really
as well as people. And we realize we're not liked by everybody because of these protocols, but at the end of the day, it's what we chose to do, and as leaders, we're moving forward with.
Absolutely, and I think you would agree with this. I don't think anyone's ever going to look back and say, you know, that was idiotic of us to be on the precautionary side, right? And to have that moving forward. So what we've done, starting actually yesterday, was all internal meetings are to be digitized. So via Zoom, via phone, via Teams, whatever that might be. So no meetings are currently done in person.
And that's easy, because we've done that in the past, right? We can flip a switch.
Correct. Yeah, that's the easiest one.
Yep.
That was the easiest one. No qualms from there, right? All of our client meetings that we have, we're still allowing clients to come in, right, and meet with us or prospects, but we just ask that they wear masks, right? The advisor and then the actual prospect or client wear a mask. Again, a very simple thing. We're all very used to that. We are starting to see, you know, masks required back on the doors again. It's just something that we're, again, reducing the spread of the virus.
Yeah, and that's still really, honestly, pretty common.
Oh, it absolutely is.
You go someplace to a store, and there's still the precautions and protocols in place. I think it's just kind of gotten more lax. And now that it's being put back on, it's like, feels like this seatbelt restraint of like, I don't have all this freedom. But the reality is it still existed out there, and it was still
never
pretty
went away.
common. Yeah,
I'd agree with that. And then the last one is just public transportation, and that expands over multiple different avenues, or any sort of public event over 25 people. We ask that our team just monitors their symptoms, works remotely for 3 days, and then they can return to the office if need be. The nicest part about all of this is, since we came back from the shelter in place sometime in June or July of last year, we've really had flex days, meaning you can come and go as you please as long as you are getting your work done. So again, working remote for 3 days, that's not disruptive to our team, because they do have flex days, and they've had that this entire time to work remotely or be in the office. So that should just continue on with the pattern that we've had.
So there is some disruption to it, and our team has brought that, actually. So they said, well, what happens if all of us are at an event that we have to shelter in place for the 3 days before returning to work with no symptoms? And that's just something we're gonna have to figure out and work through.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll force us to figure it out.
Yeah, I really appreciate them bringing that to our attention. Not something we really probably thought about or thought all the way through, but at the same time.
Well, we did it last year for 12 weeks.
Very true.
We can do it for 3 days, if
Agreed.
anything of that. That's how I think through it, though.
Yeah.
If we can do it for 12, we can do it for 3.
Yeah, and growth is all about overcoming adversity.
Right, those forced moments.
Yeah, so it's not fun, and especially when you got a lot going on, right? It can be heightened in change, but I want to make sure that we hear our team too, and that we're not just, hey, we didn't take into any account, this is what we're doing. So I, on the other hand, so Jenna, thanks for sharing your perspective. I'm the guy that probably is hiding or living under a rock, meaning that I'm not listening to the headline news and the media of everything.
It's actually not a bad thing.
So
there's a lot of stuff out there.
My fear of it, and I would say this is where my fear of that virus is probably not as high, is all the stuff you're listening to and following. And I make that choice because I feel there's just a lot of information out there, and some of probably misinformation, some of relevant information, but it's like, what do I really believe? And all I know that I can do is control my actions and what I'm doing. And I've chosen to take the stance of I'm going to be smart. Now, that's easier said than done.
Fair.
Because I'm still going to be living my life and we're going to be going on. But at the same time, as leaders, our whole goal, as Jenna said, is to how do we help reduce the spread of the virus? And if we have these protocols in place, I feel that we can do our part in keeping our facility and our team safe in that manner, even though it may be a little bit disruptive. And those protocols, you could say, are maybe a little bit tighter than what the CDC says. And we have just chosen to take that stance because of what we see in the future coming down the pipeline of what this could blow into. And again, we could be absolutely wrong. But I wanted to get on here because Jen and I really did hash this out, right? And it takes a strong relationship to have the trust in the vulnerability to be able
Respect.
to share one another's opinion. And we came to an agreement that we didn't agree with 100% of what we did, but we're united in how we're moving forward. And that's the most important thing, is we're not dividing each other. We don't want to divide our team. And even though they're on one end or the other end, right, we feel we're doing something in the middle that is best to move forward with. So I hope that this was of somewhat of value. If this is on your mind or you're experiencing this, maybe you can take this back to your organization, or hopefully it just gives you some clarity of maybe why your organization is doing some of the things that it is or might be doing in the future. So thanks for tuning in.